Hello everyone, and in this course I will be teaching you about the basics of JSON, which is a data language that you use to store data. So if you have ever learned about an API, which is basically you just go to a URL and then it gives you back data, and most of the time that data is in the form of JSON. So here's what an example API request looks like. And so you can see this is what the JSON file, and this is all of the data that it has. And you can store as much data or as little data as you want inside of JSON. And so as you can see here, they have all of these different names and then values to them. And there's many different types that are in here. And we'll be learning about all of these different types. So then when you look at this, you'll understand exactly what this is and all these different commas and double quotations and everything. So if you would like to understand how this works and welcome yourself into the world of data science, then I would just continue watching this course. Hello everyone, and in this lecture I'll be teaching you the syntax of JSON. So the first thing that you have to have in every JSON file is an opening and closing curly brace. And inside of here you can have all of your data, but you can just leave it like this and the JSON file is perfectly correct. It's just that you don't have any data inside of it. Usually you just would press enter to open up this curly brace, and then you can have your data inside of here. So you have a name slash value pair, and that's how you define variables inside of JSON. So we're just going to have the name, it always must be enclosed within quotations. So I'm going to have this, and this is the name of the variable. So I can put my name, and then to have the value of it, I have to do a colon, and then space, and then I want this to be a type of string, which is basically just text, and you'll learn that in the next lecture. So I'm just going to open up quotes, and I'm going to say Carter. So then my name is assigned to the value of Carter. But since this is enclosed within double quotes, the variable name, you aren't able to type double quotes inside of there because it thinks that this is the variable name and this is just some error. So to escape out of that, if you actually do want to have quotes inside of there, you can just do a backslash. And that will make it so then you can have these quotes inside of here. But actually, I advise against using any backslash because it's not very good programming techniques to have quotes within JSON names and using the backslashes when you could just not even have it. So in the next couple of lectures, you'll be learning about the data types inside of JSON, which is basically what you're assigning these names to. Hello everyone, and in this lecture I'll be teaching you about the primitive types of JSON. So one of the simplest types is strings. So it's basically just regular text, and it is always contained within double quotes. It can contain all characters, including numbers and spaces, and some of the values it can have is the boy, cars, the amazing house is fun, and we can also have all of the fun different symbols and numbers. So the next type is numbers, and it can only be digits 1 through 9, negative numbers, and decimals. You are also able to contain exponents, but we won't talk about that in this course because it's kind of complicated with the syntax for writing it. But you do not have double quotes for the numbers. You just put in the value of like 129, negative 342, or 43.5. So the third type that we will be learning in this lecture is Booleans, and this can only be true or false. It's very simple to understand. And one thing that's important to note is that the T and F are lowercase when you're typing it in JSON, unlike some programming languages like Python. So the fourth kind of debated data type that I will be talking about is null, which basically means there isn't a value. So you could be assigning it later, or you could just say, there's nothing there right now, I just want to state the name. So now we're going to start typing these out in the actual JSON file. So first of all, we're going to do a string. And so I'm just going to put in I'm going to open up the quotes for the name of this. So I'm going to say my name. Then we're going to have the colon to assign the value. And then we're going to open up the double quotes because that's what you do for strings. And then we're going to say Carter. So then we've defined my name to have the value of Carter. So then now let's try doing a number. And so we'll say my age. And actually, we're supposed to have this double quotes. And then we're just going to put a number of 15. So I'm going to put that in. And then this, my age, is assigned to the value 15. So now let's try doing a Boolean. So I'm going to say is 18. Oh wait, is over 18. And we're going to set that to false because I'm not. So this could also be true, but since I'm not over 18, it's going to be false. So actually, instead of just doing 15 for my age, I could do like 15.345, whatever it is for decimals. And then finally, we're going to use null. So I'm going to have my wife. And we're going to put that to null because I actually don't have a wife. But we can define it right now. So maybe if I do, we could assign the value of my wife to their name. So in the next lecture, we're going to be learning about what are the more advanced types inside of JSON. Hello everyone, and in this lecture we're going to be learning about the advanced types inside of JSON. And before we start this, I just want to explain what a name/value pair is. And it's basically, you just have the name of the variable and then its value. And the value can be any type, and the name can be anything. And so, the first data type we're going to be learning about is the object. And it can contain a set of unordered name/value pairs, so this, located between the curly braces that are separated by commas. And it can contain 0 or more name/value pairs, so it can be empty, as in this. This is just an object. It's an empty object. The second data type is an array, and this contains a set of ordered values between the brackets, and these are the brackets. And the values are also separated by commas. But note that the values inside of an array, they don't have a name, so you can just access them inside of here and write dog, cat, and you don't know what the name of each of these are because they don't have one. You access it using their indices, which is basically, in some programming languages, this would be 0 and this would be 1, and then you could access it using the name of the array. So I'm just going to call this one array, and then you do 0, and that would give you dog. So that's just a little example of what it would be like in JavaScript. So now let's go into the JSON file that we made in the last lecture, and I'm going to transform this so then we can use the objects and arrays. And we're also going to add some more data. So instead of having all these separate different variables, I'm just going to create one me, and I'm going to name it me. It's going to have a value of an object. So we're going to open this up, and then we're going to put name, and then we're going to set this to Carter. We're going to have age. We're going to have it 15.345, and then we can have is over 18, and we can set that to false. And then my wife, and that is null. So I can delete all of this, and I can also have another. I'm going to use the array now, and I'm going to have favorite colors. So these are all my favorite colors. It's going to be an array, and sometimes you can open it up, or other times people don't like to do that. It's just what you prefer to do. You just need to have the commas separating each of the values. And I'm going to say, let's do blue, white. I like that combination, but we could also have an object instead of having blue and white. I could just do an object inside of this array like this. I do enter, and I'm gonna have first blue, second white, and I need a comment. So then you could also have all of the objects inside of these arrays, and it could just go endless, keep on making more objects and arrays inside of each other. So you could have an infinite number of arrays inside of an array, or an infinite number of objects inside of an object. It's just whatever you need to do to get your data. So I'm just going to delete this. Or we could also have animals. And I'm going to put in pig, dog, and sheep. So then you would be able to access all of these using the animals array, and then you could just call 0, and that would return pig if you were in JavaScript. Hello everyone, and in this lecture I'll be showing you how to use an actual API to get your data using an API key. So what we're going to do is go to the movie database.org. Okay, so now that we're here, we just want to scroll all the way to the bottom and then hit API. So I've already created an API account, so I already have an API key. So to look at your API key once you have your account created, and it will accept you automatically after you enter some information. So you would have to log in and create an account. But to see your API key, you would just hit your profile. So just hit that, and then view profile. And then I am just gonna click on the settings actually, sorry. And then you're gonna go to API. And then as you can see right here, it says API key. And this is versions 3, which is what we're going to be using in this. So the movie database, I should probably said this at the beginning, this is basically, it has all the information on all of these different movies and the actors and reviews. It has a lot of information on it. And it has these surveys that users can do. And it has information on all of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our API key, and we're going to get data back in the form of JSON. So this is our project that I want you guys to work on, try to learn how to use, maybe using JavaScript or Python or some programming language that you're able to use that can do calls to HTML pages and get JSON data back requests. So on the documentation, we can see everything about the API. And so they also have a television show or actor images or other things, but we're just going to be using this for the movies. So if I go to developers.themoviedb.org/3, this will be the documentation. And we're just going to look into trending. Okay, so /trending/media type and then /time window. Okay, and this is a GET request. Therefore, we're just getting data. If it's a POST request, then we're setting data, but this is just GET. So you just have to put in this route after the URL, and you also have to include the 3 inside of there, and then it'll return the data if you specify the API key. So we should be able to just copy this. Actually, I should cut this. Okay, oh, I shouldn't have pressed enter. Okay, so we have this, and then we're just going to copy our API key, and we're going to do question mark API key equals, and then we're going to paste that in. And I have to put in that route in. Oh, Looks like it copied the whole thing. Okay, there we go. Slash trending media type time window. So we're just going to put in day for the time window because we can just do it for today. So I'm just going to select this and we're going to put in day. And then the media type, we are going to put in movie because we want to see the trending movies. So if we put that in there, then we should be able to get our data back. Looks like we've got an error. Maybe okay, it's API underscore key. Sorry, I was using camel case. Okay, we did something wrong. Trending movie day 3 API. Okay, this is supposed to be API. Okay, there we go. We got our JSON data back. So this is JSON, all of this. So if I copy this and I put it in JSON prettier, and we're just going to paste this in here, we're going to press make pretty. Okay, so we can see all of this JSON data. So you can see page 1, so this is if you wanted to have certain pages, and you could use a pagination to make it so then it automatically loads in more pages, but then it does less requests, so then your page will load, your website will load in faster. So you can see the ID of the movie, the title of the movie, its average rating, vote count, and you can see these are all the different data types that we've learned. So this is a number, this is a boolean, this is a number, this is also a number, this is a string, this is a string, this is a string, string, array, the genre ID, so these probably specify a certain genre, which you could also use loading in using the genres endpoint, which is right here. So then you can probably call using that genre ID, so then you could find out what the name of that genre is, and boolean, another string, and actually this results is an array, and inside of that array is an object. And then there's another object. Oh, so the page, so it's page 1, and then results. And results is an array of all of the different popular movies. So this is the most popular movie right now, Bad Boys for Life. Because an array is ordered. So this is 0, this one's 2, and you can see how all of this data, how you could use this to create a website or loading it in. And so the project for you guys to do is I want to see if you guys can make like a website using this. It doesn't even have to be that good. It could just be like if you put in the endpoint like website.com, this could just be a test. And then you could put in slash, and then you could put that ID in, and then it would load all the information on that movie. But I just want you guys to make something using this API. And so I hope that you guys enjoyed this course. Please check out my YouTube and all of that. So I'll see you guys.